This is it, y'all. It's the crown jewel of my comic collection. It's all of my X-Men comics. I have a lot to say about this, but to save time, we're just going to get into it, and I'm going to talk as we go. We got a milestone edition of issue 1, because you know I can't afford an actual issue 1. And then the next issue I have is issue 10, graded at a 5.0, so not that good. But this is one of my only graded comics. I got this when I was in, 7th grade. It was a gift. First appearance, no, not the first appearance. I think it's actually the second appearance of Kazar. But still, super cool. Then we got another reprint. It's a reprint of issue 13. We have annual number 1 or king size special number 1, whatever. I got that from my buddy. This is my next oldest issue. It's issue 24. I just got that from Infinite Realities. First appearance of the Banshee, milestone edition. Issue 53 of X-Men, that was another gift. True Believers copy of issue 58. Issue 67, which is a reprint, but it is that old. And then a Marvel Milestone edition of Giant Size number 1, which I definitely do not have enough money to get a regular copy of that. We also have the Tribute to Wayne and Cockrum version, which was fine. And we've got Classic X-Men issue 1. And I actually have 2 copies of Classic X-Men issue 1. Then I've got the extended cut of God Loves Man Kills, which came out relatively recently. This was okay. And I also have issue 143 of Uncanny X-Men here. That's my oldest issue from the Uncanny run. So my dad grew up collecting these issues of Uncanny X-Men as they came out. He starts around issue 110, and he goes through issue 167. So then I pick up at issue 168. But before that, we have the Magic 4-issue miniseries, which came, I don't know, right after issue 150, I think that's when that's from. So I've got issue 156, found that in a dollar bin, and I've got issue 168 there. That's the beginning of my run. We got some Paul Smith art on these first few issues of my run. Oh, it's gorgeous. I love my Uncanny X-Men collection. It's one of the first series I ever collected. I spent years and years and years tracking it down. And of course, it's famous for good reason, right? Chris Claremont was doing excellent work with Uncanny X-Men. I mean, this is only, not even 80 issues into his run, and already we have such amazing storytelling, we have amazing character development, and then we switch to John Romita Jr. art. And at this point, I could already tell that I did not like it. Compared to the stuff that came right before it, it just felt kind of cheap and unfinished, like there wasn't much detail. Then we have this Micronaut series here, which I don't remember much of. I did make a point over the course of 3 or 4 years to read all of the X-Men books. So I read everything Uncanny X-Men. I read the whole 500-something issues and then everything that came after it. I read most of the adjectiveless X-Men. I have all of New Mutants. I have all of X-Factor. I have a bunch of X-Force. And I read all of that. It took me years to finish, and there were definitely some highs and definitely some lows. I've had this Kitty Pryde and Wolverine series forever. I wanted to get one of them signed by Al Milgrom at HeroesCon, but I couldn't find him. So, that's a bummer. I do like this cover. That's a cool cover, even though it's John Romita Jr., and this issue is great. Well, heck, most of these issues are great, though I feel like around this point... Oh, that's a stand-in. That has a story that came right around that era. This era of Uncanny X-Men, I feel, is kind of the first weak point in my collection. I mean, Life Death is solid. We got Barry Windsor Smith. That's great. But the stories that happened here with the Wraiths and everything, and then we had Selene and Rachel first showing up, I don't know, maybe it's the art that just doesn't do it for me, but I felt like this part of the Uncanny X-Men history was just kind of lame. Probably just Romita Jr. ruining it for me, because we have the first appearance of Warlock, we have Thunderbird's brother show up, we have the first appearance of Nimrod somewhere in here. It's all important stories, but I don't know, it just didn't stand out to me as a great era. Uncanny X-Men is my main lens through which I look at the Marvel Universe. So if I have any tie-ins that tie into X-Men, they get put with my X-Men books. I bought this for probably $10, and I think it was the most expensive issue I'd ever bought at the time. It just goes somewhere around there, I think. That one is signed by Claremont and Leonardi. Just got that one signed. And I have 2 copies because, you know, when you find them for cheap, you gotta get them. There's another tie-in. Most of the power pack that I have is tie-ins. That one's signed by June Brigman. I love that issue. And I love this issue too. I almost got this one signed by Claremont because it's so good. I got 2 copies of it. I pick it up whenever I find it for cheap. I've also always loved this issue, and that's John Romita Jr. This issue is great too. Love that cover. This issue was a little bit weird. It's kind of just fallout from the previous issue. But still, better than the 180s, 190s. I just got that one signed by Arthur Adams. Very cool. That's the issue that Longshot joined the X-Men in. And then that's an excellent cover, even though it's John Romita Jr. I've got 2 copies of that one as well, because when you can find it, you got to get it. Issue 211, I've had that forever. Love that issue. The Morlock Massacre is such good X-Men reading. I mean, this issue, this is fantastic. And then we got Dazzler joining the X-Men. More Dazzler joining the X-Men. Mephisto versus the X-Men. Freaking hate how he drew Longshot in this issue. These issues were so good. Oh man, just these 2 were like Wolverine and Storm go off and do their own thing, and they were fantastic. And then we have Dazzler and Psylocke and Rogue and Longshot doing their own thing over in Scotland, and those issues were fantastic. And then we have the start of the Outback era, or at least the lead up to Fall of the Mutants. X-Men versus the Avengers. That's pretty good miniseries too. This was a really good annual. Love Alan Davis's drawing. And then we start with Silvestri. Man, I love Claremont and Silvestri's run on X-Men. All of these issues are fantastic. That was not Silvestri, but still a good issue. Love this cover. Love seeing the X-Men do what they do best and having a good time. Fall of the Mutants is surprisingly easy to find for really cheap. Like, you can find these issues for $1 at most comic shops. That's a tie-in. This issue, I never really liked. It's kind of just an extra issue. This was the first issue of X-Men that I bought myself out of a dollar bin. I love this issue. It is fantastic work. And that one's signed by Claremont and Rubenstein. And I haven't met Silvestri yet. This one, also not a huge fan of. Then we got a couple annuals in a row here. Yeah. Arthur Adams? I think so. Great stuff. Oh, and then we have the Brood saga. The second time we see the Brood in X-Men comics. This is so good. I love these just 3 issues in a row, but it packs so much in there. And that one's signed by Leonardi. That's the first appearance of Genosha. We get the Genosha issues, which are also fan-frickin-tastic. Man, I love every single issue of this series, even the ones I don't love as much as the other ones. I love them all. X-Men is really like the absolute best comics you're gonna read. Now we're getting into Inferno. These were some of the hardest issues for me to find when I was getting all my issues for the giveaway, because I gave away issues 219 through 252, I think. And the Uncanny X-Men issues for Inferno were definitely some of the more expensive ones. X-Factor nobody cares about, even though it's just as important to the story. Yeah, Inferno was great. I read Inferno a billion times when I was a kid. Collected these really early on. Great stuff. And then immediately following Inferno, we have the first appearance of Jubilee. We've still got Silvestri on the art here. Amazing stuff. And then we have a Liefeld issue, which is really good. That's a really good issue of Uncanny X-Men. We have a couple Atlantis Attacks annuals. And then we get into the Master Mold. And right around here, Jim Lee shows up. It's still Silvestri there. Is that Jim Lee? That is Jim Lee. Yeah, that one took me a minute to find. Is that Jim Lee? No, that's Silvestri. Around this point, I started to get bored. I don't really love the Savage Land stuff. I mean, that's an iconic issue. But whenever we spent time in the Savage Land, I was just a little bit bored. This issue was good, though. And then we have a whole new team of X-Men. And this issue, oh man, I love that issue. I read that over and over and over. Then we have Jim Lee doing stuff with Psylocke and Wolverine and Jubilee. These are some of the greatest issues of my run. Excellent, excellent X-Men issues. This one also fantastic. What else? Oh, this one is a standout issue. I read this one over and over and over. These couple with Forge and Banshee, I wasn't super into, but, you know, they're important. And we have a new team of X-Men showing up. The lead up to the first appearance of Gambit, which I had this when I was a kid. I got it in a dollar bin. That's how I read the first appearance of these characters. Wasn't until much later that I finally got my own copy of the first appearance of Gambit. And then that's a cool cover. This is, oh, beautiful issue of X-Men. Love it. This issue, also fantastic. Then we got the Days of Future Present crossover in the annuals. I know that lots of people say that this is technically the first appearance of Gambit. I don't care. I got this one for $1. I don't really care how much it's worth as long as I have the story. Then we have Extinction Agenda. And this, you know, I started feeling... I remember collecting the series and thinking that this was not a very good period of the X-Men comics. When I went back and read through all of them at once, I was like, you know, this makes sense. This is good. This is maybe not the best X-Men, but it is good. It's high-quality stuff, nevertheless. And then they went into space, and Professor X came back after, like, 75 issues of him being gone. And a couple beat-up copies of that one. And then it won an Eagle Awards, which makes sense, because Jim Lee is freaking fantastic, and, of course, Claremont is fantastic. Ooh, I gotta get another copy of that. That's really beat up. And then we had the whole Muir Island saga thing. I feel like I'm missing something. I feel like I don't have all the details for that. Maybe I'm missing some tie-ins. And then issue 281, we get into a different era. And I've got the first issue of X-Men put in here just as a placeholder. First appearance of Bishop. I don't know if that's a first printing. I don't know. I don't really care. These issues I got for probably $1 each at Stadium Cards and Comics. When I was really young, and, you know, $5 was a lot of money to me, I used to be really bummed that I couldn't buy more than one issue of X-Men whenever I did get to the comic shop, which was not very often. So I would bug them about maybe any cheaper issues they have behind the counter or something. And they brought out a couple boxes of, like, this era Uncanny X-Men books. So a lot of the stuff between $2.80 and $300 I got for $1 out of those books. Very nice of them. I don't really care much about the writing around this era. You know, it's fine. We're starting to get into the X-Men mania of the 90s, and that's not what I love about them. I love the stuff from the 80s way more than the 90s. But I've got the whole thing. I've got every issue from 168 to 311? I don't know. Right around the time you get to the new team. So when Claremont leaves, I stop caring nearly as much. So, especially after issue 300, when John Romita Jr. comes back and starts drawing, I'm like, out of here. Not here for it. But when I was... Oh, that's signed by... Who's that signed by? Capullo? No. Who signed this? That's embarrassing. Maybe the inker signed it? I don't remember. Anyway, when I was going through and reading all of them, I did try my best to get all the issues, but, you know, if I didn't feel like spending more than $1 on some of these, I just read them online. And I don't normally read comics online. Oh, I've got 2 copies of that. Woohoo! But I just feel like a lot of the issues between 300 and 400 are not even worth $1 to me. You know? They're just like, I wanted to read them for the sake of completion, but I really did not want to spend money on them. I've definitely got the issue where Magneto rips out Wolverine's... oh, wait, no, that's not the issue where he rips it out. That's the issue where they deal with it having been ripped out. Where's the issue where he rips it out? I've got it in another box, I promise. What is this? Issue 305. Issue 306. I hate that cover. 307. I hate that cover. That's a tie-in. 308. That's okay. X-Men Unlimited. What is this? X-Men 28. Oh, Wolverine number 90. There's 309. I hate that cover. Unlimited 4. 310. So, no, 311. I'm missing 310. Huh. That's weird. 312. And then, who is this? Maduria? I don't know how you pronounce that. I was not as much of a fan of him as most other people are, I think. But I can definitely recognize talent when I see it. It's definitely good. It's just not, I don't feel super nostalgic towards it. Because I didn't grow up collecting it, you know? I didn't buy these issues until much later. I really don't remember anything about that series. That's a cool cover. I got that forever ago. And, you know, stuff in here, I only grabbed out of a sense of completion. What is that? I hate it when they don't put the page number, or the issue number is 42. It's really hard to find. Got that for $1. And then my dad has most of the Age of Apocalypse stuff, so I only half-heartedly collected it myself because I can just go read his copies. That's a cool cover, though. And, you know, now that we don't have John Romita Jr. drawing it, I like it more, but I'm still just not into the 90s, so I don't remember anything from this era. Box number 3, picking up with issue 327. There were a lot of other series popping up around this point that I didn't read, like X-Man. I don't have any of X-Man, because I just don't care enough. You know, you find those in every single dollar bin ever, and I just can't be bothered to spend money on it. But I do feel like I'm missing something because I don't have those issues. Like, I don't fully understand the narrative. Age of Onslaught. Is it Age of Onslaught or just Onslaught Reborn? Phase 2? I don't care. I'm sorry. I just did not really care about anything that happened in the 90s. I know that people say that the Onslaught bit was like a high point for X-Men comics. I just don't feel that way. You know, like it's nowhere near as good as the 80s stuff. And maybe I'm speaking out of nostalgia. Or maybe I'm right, and I'm just the most objectively right person on the planet. That could be it. We're going to go with that. That's an important issue. 355. Yeah, I skip a bunch of issues here because, you know, didn't feel like paying for them. Just read them online. It's fine. I still got through everything. But this was one of the hardest eras of X-Men comics for me to get through. Like, some eras I was able to blow right through. I loved every second of it. I was excited to read the next issues. But the mid to late 90s of X-Men was definitely a hard slog. It took me forever to get through these because I just could not get interested. It wasn't the hardest era of X-Men comics to get through because there weren't a bajillion tie-ins that you had to read for any sense of overall narrative. But it was rough. It was probably the second hardest to get through for me. I know I'm missing a lot of issues here, but I feel like I have most of the important ones, at least. And I think from this point on, I'm pretty solid. What is that? I don't know what that is. Get back in there. So I can find you later and be confused again. Oh, careful. Look, we have Claremont writing here now. Which, you know, it was okay. This is when the movie came out, so they were experiencing another burst in popularity. I don't really remember anything about these stories either. I felt like it wasn't all that important. Look at that sick cover, though. That's cool. That one's less sick. I don't really like Salvador Larroca's art. That's an annual. We're coming up on issue 400, right? Oh, 389. We still got a few more issues. I keep finding this for cheap. It's the Death of Colossus. It's kind of a big deal. I did not pay $16. And then I have Extreme X-Men issue 1 as a placeholder. My dad collected all of that. I read most of it. Didn't really like it. Didn't feel like it was necessary to understand the narrative. Because so many, like, there weren't very many new characters that showed up in that series. And they never really showed up again. and I felt like the characters didn't have all that much development from that series, so I just don't care about it. Now we're getting into the 400s, right? Issue 395, 396. We got Joe Casey writing these. These issues were wild. Yeah, they were kind of fun. That issue was weird. Issue 400. You know, a lot of people complain about, who is it? Not Joe Casey, it's the next writer, Chuck Austin. Yeah, the Chuck Austin era of Uncanny X-Men. With good reason, you know, it's not that good. But when I was reading through everything, I felt like getting through the Chuck Austin era and the Joe Casey era was way easier than getting through the mid to late 90s. Who is this? Yeah, now we're in the Chuck Austin era. These are fine, especially compared to what's been coming out the last few years. Like, you still feel a sense of progression here. And I think I have pretty much every issue in a row. I don't think I'm missing much. There were some issues that my dad collected, and then I didn't bother collecting. I filled in all of his holes in my collection. But then recently I was like, it's stupid for me to be missing 3 issues here and 6 issues there when I have everything else. So I did go back and I think fill in all of my holes. Like, that was a hole. Those are cool issues. That's the story that keeps you engaged. And then we have the Draco. I had to fill in all these recently. Draco is okay. You know, people complain about it. People complain about it being rewritten. Whatever. It is kind of just filler. In the overall history of X-Men, it's kind of just filler. But, you know, after 700-something issues, you're going to find a lot of filler. And then these issues, LaRocca really leaned into the kind of anime influences, and I think they're all right. They're probably some of my favorite issues done by LaRocca. Yeah, that was a good little 3-issue run. And then issue 444, we have this huge upgrade. We have a new logo. We have much better coloring. We get Alan Davis back. We get Chris Claremont back. Oh, yeah. The whole series gets a major, makeover. And if I've got holes in this era, it's because this is another one of those points where my dad took over for a minute. And I think he's got like 20 or something issues in a row. But lately, when I see them in a dollar bin, I grab them. Just because, you know, I want to have the whole series in one place. And then I have, what is that? That's a big gap there, 471 to 487. I have everything between those 2 issues in a hardcover. So I never bothered getting the single issues. They're really easy to find. They're like $1 each. But, you know, I've had the hardcover forever. So I just haven't seen the point. Messiah Complex with Silvestri on the art. Heck yeah, dude. Good stuff. This is where I started to get excited about X-Men comics. Right around issue, what is this, 410? 490? Oh, 493. So we're coming up on issue 500. Good stuff. It's good stuff. This is where Hope comes from. So if you like that character, you want to see more stuff about Hope and Cable and Bishop's war with Cable, this is where you should start. This is great stuff. I liked it a lot. And here's my last box of Uncanny, picking up at this Divided We Stand mini-series, moving right into issue 495. I remember liking these issues. I got them really early on out of a dollar bin, and they were pretty good. I like the art. Who's the artist here? Choi? Not a recognizable name all that much. We got Billy Tan on the covers. And then I got this forever ago, and I got it signed by Greg Land last year, as well as issue 500. Love that cover. Then we have some Secret Invasion tie-ins, because I gotta be thorough. You know, when I was reading through everything, if it was a direct tie-in to the main X-Men ongoings, then I wanted to have all the tie-ins. And you'll notice the mission issues 501 through 504, I have those in a hardcover edition as well. Then we got this cool annual, issue 506. I love the Manifest Destiny era of X-Men. And then we get these awesome Greg Land covers. I just got that one signed at Heroes Con. And this is a great cover as well, but I didn't get it signed. I did get this one signed because, you know, you gotta. It's gorgeous. I love this issue. This is one of my favorite issues of X-Men. Great stuff. Then we have Utopia X, which was an interesting series. It was, you know, reflective of what was going on in the overall Marvel Universe at the time. So I'm glad it happened. It's not a super standout series, but it's still good. Look at that cover. Gorgeous. Yeah, this, we get into Nation X. They're on Magneto's fallen asteroid. And, oh, this is great. I love this era of X-Men. As we get into the 500s, I think it had a new era of greatness. Who's writing? Fraction. Matt Fraction did a fantastic job with Uncanny X-Men. This issue, so good. So good. And then Second Coming happened. And when I was a kid and I loved X-Men, you know, I was working on collecting the old stuff. I wanted a subscription to the new X-Men issues that were coming out. And this is where I started. I think I actually started with X-Men Legacy. Maybe, is it the next time we see an X-Men Legacy issue? I don't know. Or maybe it was Uncanny X-Men. Whatever. It was during Second Coming. And I was so confused because this had so much lore that you had to know to understand what was going on. And I did not know any of that lore. So I just, yeah, that was it. This is the first issue that came to my subscription. And this is a terrible place to start. Terrible, terrible, terrible. So I did not collect very much X-Men at the time, and I switched to, I think, Fantastic Four. And then we had Regenesis, and that's the series. My dad has that entire series. And then everything Uncanny X-Men between that and this terrible series, which is the last Uncanny X-Men series before Krakoa. And of course, there was also that huge Bendis era of Uncanny X-Men before this. But that, like I said, my dad has all of that, so I haven't collected it yet. This series really sucked, you know? I did not like it. I barely remember reading it. I remember reading through all the X-Men books and getting to this point and being like, oh, thank goodness. Thank goodness it's finally over. Tired of this garbage writing. Because there were, you know, now that I think about it, there were a bunch of really short Uncanny X-Men volumes between the end of the 500 issue something numbers and this point. And I was just tired of it. 2014 was the absolute hardest part of Uncanny X-Men to get through. Issue 22, that's the last issue. And then we had Krakoa. And now what I've got next is my new Mutants collection. I have every single issue of the first volume of New Mutants. So all 100 issues by Claremont and McLeod. And then I think we had Nocenti for a while. Not Nocenti, Louise Simonson, I think, was writing most of it. This stuff is good, you know, it's Claremont. It's good writing. And the first, 20-something issues were, pretty standard. They were just kind of X-Men extras. But then we had Kitty starting to join. And we got into some real high-stakes stuff. Not here, not quite yet. There we go. That one's signed by Brigman. Got into some cool stuff here with Demon Bear. This 3-issue series is so good. I grab it every time I find it in a dollar bin. It is peak New Mutants. And then we continue with the Bill Sienkiewicz art. Oh yeah, this was like a defining era for these characters. Oh man, these are great issues. Oh, I've got 2 copies of that one. Look at that. I think that one is the first appearance of Legion. I don't know. That's the first full appearance of Legion. Yeah, important stuff. Great covers. The writing was fine. Yeah, Karma comes back. It's freaking weird. Who is this? Lealoha, I think. Yeah, this was fine. I read through all of the... Did I? I must have. I think I read through all of this relatively recently. And we've got that. Can't not have that. That's an important issue. I should really get that in a bag and a board. That's a tie-in. That's a cool issue. That's a cool issue. And then I think it's... Oh, yeah. Love that cover. Barry Windsor Smith, man. That's a good issue, too. That's a great cover. Love it when they put great artists on these titles like Barry Windsor Smith. That's a good cover, too. That's one of my favorite issues of New Mutants. I love that issue. And that's the first appearance of Psylocke. I did actually pay like $30 for that. Now I kind of wish I hadn't, because I've seen it for a lot cheaper since then. But oh well. I've also seen it for a lot more expensive. You know, you get what you get. And then around here, I think we're getting close to Fall of the Mutants. That's a cool cover. I like that cover too. That's Sienkiewicz, so don't be surprised. Fallen Angels, I remember being excited about collecting this series, but then being just generally not that impressed by it. Whatever. I think it's an important part of New Mutants history. What is this? Come here. Leonardi cover there. That's a cool cover. That's Magnola. Hey. That's a sick cover. Kevin Nolan. Sounds okay. Sounds okay. Continuing with New Mutants, we get into the Fall of the Mutants stuff, which, you know, their tie-ins were fine. It was really an X-Men story. Just so happened to be that there was crossover. Whose art is this? Is that Carl Potts? No. Who is that? That's so good. This is Carl Potts. I love this cover. I got it signed at Heroes Con. I always pick it up when I see it. Crazy issue there. That's good. I like that one. Is that Blevins, I think? Yeah, Blevins. I like this. I like that style art for New Mutants. I think it's appropriate. Some more characters here that we never really saw again. Now we're in Inferno, and Inferno was definitely a New Mutant storyline that X-Men happened to be a part of. And it's good. Like I said, I really like Inferno. That's a tie-in to Inferno. Oh, I should probably put that with the other annuals. That's a good cover. I think that's Byrne. That was one of my first issues. Around here, we're starting to get towards the Cable era. Oh, and you know, well, do I? Okay, so I said that I have the first 100 issues of New Mutants, right? But as I'm sure you know, you have the first appearance of Cable in there, and I don't think I have the first printing of that. I think I just have that's a Liefeld cover, which is why it was so freaking hard to find. And then there is my, I'm assuming, second or third printing of the first appearance of Cable. I don't really care about it not being the first printing. It still came out at the same time, you know, and it's still got the story. It's still got the same quality of art. These issues are so funny. If you have not read Liefeld's era of New Mutants, it's like when people complain about Liefeld, this is what they're talking about. The stuff in these issues are definitely what makes people complain about him. And then this is a reprint. I can't afford the first appearance of Deadpool. I doubt I ever will. It's whatever. You know, I'd like to have a copy of it, but I'm not gonna spend more than like $50. I would spend $50 on it. That's as high as I'll go. Then we have my X Factor, and I think I also have the first 100 issues of X Factor. These are easy to find. I got pretty much all of these in dollar bins, except for that one was a dollar bin, and issue 6, I think I paid like $10 for, because the local antique shop that was in my hometown had it for $10, I think. So I was like, oh, why not? I'll just get it. I had the black and white essential volumes, 1 and 2 of X Factor, and that's how I read most of this series as a kid. In fact, I was reading one of those when my sister saw it and she got interested, and she asked if she could read it, but at the time I was like, well, if you want to read this, you have to understand everything else that happened in X-Men history. So I went and I pulled out like a box worth of comics from my collection and my dad's collection, and I was right. I was like, you got to read all of these before you can really enjoy X Factor. And of course, it was super overwhelming for her, so she didn't read anything, which is a bummer. You shouldn't overwhelm people like that. You shouldn't gatekeep like that. That's an important issue. Got that from my dad. You should just let people start reading comics wherever they feel like it. There's no one right place to start reading comics. So I think about that a lot. I think about how I just kind of ruined her first interest in comics pretty often. But, I think later on she did go back and read that Essential. I think what she liked about it was the Rusty and Skids dynamic, which was cool. That was... Oh, I don't remember buying that issue. That was definitely a cool part of the X Factor series. And I think around this point, I think after Inferno happens, X Factor just kind of loses some of its direction. And that's why there was a gap there, is we didn't have the Inferno issues in this box. They're in a different box. Like the Judgment War, I don't really care about, honestly. Got a Paul Smith cover, though. Bunch of Paul Smith covers. Love that. Whoa! Oh man, Bogdanov. I frickin' hate Bogdanov's art. Liefeld. That was one of my first issues of X Factor. Cool Magnolia cover. I think a lot of these I haven't really read, because it wasn't until recently that I finally filled in my last holes in my first 100 issues of X Factor. So maybe that's the next series that's on my list to read all the way through, because I finally completed what I wanted to complete. As soon as I catch up to all of... This is the start of the Peter David run. Amazing. As soon as I catch up to all of the new stuff that comes out that I don't have the chance to read, then I can go back and appreciate the rest of my collection. Yeah, when Peter David took over, it was like a breath of fresh air. Excellent writing. It's so funny, but he balances the action with the humor and the drama so well. In fact, from this point on, it's pretty much just Peter David writing X Factor. Oh, come here. Well, actually, I'm not sure if that's true, because I stopped collecting around issue 100, and I don't know if he kept writing it after that point. I felt like the series was in the midst of disgusting 90s, boring, over-the-top, super extreme, way too many details era, so I gave up. I definitely have not read these issues yet. Because, look at them. They just look like too much. I'm trying too hard. Gotta chill out. I remember being excited about buying that issue, because I was so young that I thought if it was issue 100, it must be worth something. And then we have a little mini-series from the early 2000s of Madrox, and I think that's Peter David. Yeah. Good stuff. And that set the tone for his next X Factor series, which is fan-freaking-tastic. I love Peter David and Ryan Sook especially. I love their work on X Factor. This series is so good. I would love to have hardcover versions of it on my shelf. It is one of my favorite series to recommend to people if they're just getting into comics, because, I mean, Peter David had really dialed it in by this point. He had excellent character development. He had great subplots as well as super long overarching plots that lasted forever. We had so many funny moments, so much drama, so many new characters that were well fleshed out. It's just fantastic. I mean, if you haven't read anything X Factor, start here. Start with issue 1 of this. Yeah, there's going to be a little bit of a learning curve because you got to get used to these characters, but more or less, it's the same characters for most of the series. And it's very cinematic. Like, it takes its time. You feel like you're binging a TV show. This was like a golden era for X Factor. Except for when they let Larry Stroman draw it again. I'm sorry, but Larry Stroman did a great job on X Factor when it started with Peter David back at issue like 71. But I don't think he had any business drawing it in 2006 or 7 or whatever. Just looked terrible. Yeah, this series taught me to love characters that I did not have any interest in beforehand. It's such a underrated series, you know? Like, it's just kind of soap opera, like, the whole time. But that's what Claremont did, and we call that one of the greatest series of comics ever, right? He just popularized the soap opera dynamic of comic books. And this is just an updated version of soap opera comic books. I think it's great. I have every issue of it. I'm pretty sure I just bought the last issue I was missing. Whoa. And even though it's incredibly funny, like most of the time, there's some pretty heavy stuff, you know? It's really relatable stories with depth, but also enough fun and excitement that you can just go along for the ride. You can turn your brain off and just exist in this world. Anyway, I cannot praise this series enough. I love it. I wish it had gone longer, even though it was like, 112 issues or something of just Peter David writing it in a row. It could have just kept going for another 100 issues, I think. Or maybe Peter David finally felt like he had done all the stories that he had to say with these characters. I don't know. But it lasted a long time. I mean, we're in the Wolverine and the X-Men era now. It was going forever. That means we're at, 2012? Going on 2013? Considering the series started in like 2005 and it was the same writer the whole time, that's crazy. Yep, great stuff. Love X Factor. Wait, oh man, I thought it was almost over. There's more! It just keeps going and going and going. Come here. Oh, is this the end? No. Yes? I don't remember. Here we go. End of X Factor. Love that. Come here. And that's it, the last issue of Peter David's run on X Factor, except for when he came back and did all new X Factor. But for now, let's look at X Force. That one is still in the poly bag. I don't think I'm ever going to take it out because I got this one that's not in the poly bag. And then I've even got the gold cover because I found it for less than $1, so why the heck not? Other than that, I did not collect X-Force unless it was in a tie-in because I did not like it. No, sir. And then Remender did this great run on Uncanny X-Force, but I just don't have any of it. And this was when I started really diving into buying new comics. And, you know, I'm not a big fan of Salvador Larroca, but I liked this series. I thought it was really fun, and I didn't mind the art style in it. I thought it was fine. And I was really curious about what was going on with these characters, because this is right after the Phoenix Force was split amongst all 5 of those X-Men at the end of AVX. So everybody's powers were on the fritz, and everybody hated the X-Men. So I just wanted to see what was going on with Colossus, really. And it was fine. The Uncanny Avengers were around. I think this was just kind of a good era for X-Men. This was, 2013. So 2013 was good. 2014 was a total pain in the butt to get through when I was reading through all of the X-Men books. Yeah, Ron Garney. Of course, they fake us out with that Coipel cover. I bought a lot of these issues for the sake of completion, and I just don't really care about them. Though this is a really cool cover. Interesting team, but I didn't feel like it was an interesting series, honestly. It was just okay. It doesn't stand out in the history of all things X-Men. Then we had another series of X-Force. This one was okay as well. I like that cover though. Come here. I have 2 copies? Yeah. And then we have another X-Force series with Pepe Larraz art before he blew up. And of course, the art here is fantastic. How's the writing? I don't know. I don't remember it. Probably because I was just zooming. At this point, I was so excited to be done, because I had read so many issues. And then we get into adjectiveless X-Men with the, come here, we got the gatefold cover. I think I got that for $1. Then I got issue 2, which is in this special packaging that tells you all about how this is going to be worth so much money someday. And of course, I got it for $1 because it's not worth anything. Issue 3, issue 4, I did spend $15 on that. Issue 5, look at that sick Jim Lee art. Issue 6. Yeah, love Jim Lee's work, especially in the 80s and early 90s. Now, I don't know. I'm not a huge fan of his work now as much as I am of his stuff on older X-Men. But he's still, I mean, you could tell right away he was an incredibly talented artist. I don't have all of this series. I mostly just collected the first 20 or 30 issues so I'd have an idea of what was going on. And then a lot of the stuff in the 90s, just like with Uncanny X-Men, I felt like it was not that important. There it is, signed by Fabian Nicieza. And then here's, nope, don't have a tie-in. What's happening here? Oh, issue 28. There's the wedding issue. I don't know where issue 29 is. We have some weird stuff with Quanon and Psylocke. Some Andy Kubert work. Andy Kubert I like way more than Adam Kubert. Whoa. X-Babies. All right, this video is getting super long, so we're going to start zooming here. We got 67, 68, 77, 79, 80, 94, 99, and then we get into the new X-Men series by Grant Morrison. And I do have all of this in an omnibus, which is over here somewhere, but I have most of the issues in single format. So we got issue 114. I don't have 115, and 116 is somewhere else right now. I can't find it, so there's 117. Annual, 118, 119, 120, gorgeous cover, 121, 122, 123, 124, 125, 126, 127, love that cover, 128, 129, 130, 131, 132, 133, 134, signed by Grant, 135, love that cover, 136, 137, 138, 139, signed by Jim Inez, 140, 141, and then it jumps to 151. I don't have those issues because my dad has them, and I've also got the hardcover, so who cares? And we got issue 152, 153, 154, 155. I don't know where issue 156 is, but I'm pretty sure I have it. There's 157, 158, 159, 160, 161, 162, 163, 164, 165, 166, 167, 168, 169, 170, 171, 172, 173, 174, 175, 176, 177, 178, 179, 180, 181, 182, 183, 184, 185, 186, 187, 188, 189, 190, 191, 192, 193, 194, 195, 196, 197, 198, 199, and 200, signed by David Finch. Love that gatefold cover. 201, 202, 203, 204, 208. I'm not sure where 5, 6, and 7 are. 209, 210, 211, 212, 213, 214, 215, 216, 217, 218, 219, 220, 221, 222, 223, 224, 225, another 225, 226, 227, 228, 229, 230, 231, 232, 233, 234, 238, 239, 240, 241, 242, 243, 244, 245, New Mutants issue 22, that's chapter 2 of Age of X, 246, chapter 4 of Age of X, 247, chapter 6 of Age of X, 248, 249, 251. I guess I am missing issue 250. That's stupid. 252, 253, 254, 255, 256, 257, 258, 259, 260, 261, 262, 263, 264, 265, 266, 267, 268, 269, 270, 271, 272, 273, 274. And then it went to X-Men Legacy. It was a different series and I'm missing issue 1, but we got issue 2, issue 3, issue 5, issue 6, issue 7, issue 8, issue 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 80, 90, and then 300. I might be missing something. I don't know. It doesn't really matter to me. And then we get into the next X-Men series. I have the first, I think, 10 issues in a hardcover. Issue 8, 9, 10, 11. Is that 11? 12, 13, 14, 15, 15.1, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 22. Am I missing 21? 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41. And then we start over at issue 1. We have Laura Martin signed it there. She did great colors on here. 2, 3, 4, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. And then I guess that was the end, because now we have Bendis and Immonen's all new X-Men. I don't have everything from this series because my dad has this, as well as pretty much everything X-Men between 2013 and 18-ish, 2017. But I found a bunch of them for $1 each, so we got issue 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, and 18, and then 32, 33, 37, tie-in, 38. And then we jump ahead to the second all-new X-Men series with issue 2, issue 3, issue 4, issue 5. Ooh, I have more of this than I thought. Issue 6, issue 7, issue 8, issue 10, 14, 15, 19. That's the end of that series. I was very excited to collect Amazing X-Men. This one is signed by Von Grawbadger and Jason Aaron. Super cool. This was the Return of Nightcrawler from, I think, 2013-ish. And I have most of this series. I stopped collecting after a while, but I'm only missing a couple issues. It was short and sweet. It was just a fun, bright X-Men series. Yeah, I'm missing a few issues here. That's okay. And then we have Extraordinary X-Men. This is where I was like, man, can 2014 hurry up and just get through it? Because, oof, this was one of those series that really made me feel like, come on, do we need this much X-Men? We had so many X-Men titles all at once. It was way oversaturated. Too much X-Men stuff, and it wasn't even all that interesting. What is it, Jeff Lemire, I think? Yeah, you know, nothing against the guy, but his stories have never really hit me all that hard. Then we had the Inhumans versus X-Men. Wow, I could not have cared less about that. Then, Astonishing X-Men. This is Laura Martin's signature, and I'm pretty sure that's John Cassaday's signature. I got that out of a dollar bin, and then I had Laura sign it. Now, this series, my dad has the entire thing in single issues, and I have the entire thing in trade paperback. But, you know, I found all these in a dollar bin lately, and they're so good, I figured having an extra set that I could loan to people is not a bad idea. So I've got most of the Whedon Cassaday era. Great stuff. Really, really great stuff. I mean, peak X-Men comics. This is one of my top 5 places to start reading X-Men if you haven't read any yet. And even after the Whedon and Cassaday era, it's pretty good for a minute there. Though really, I don't think X-Men will ever top this series. It was so, so good. And then giant size there. Then we had a few issues by Warren Ellis and Simone Bianchi. I loved these issues. I mean, I love Bianchi's work all the time, but Warren Ellis is also an amazing writer. So this was a real treat. It didn't feel like Astonishing X-Men had lost any value, which is impressive considering what it had just come from. And then we had Warren Ellis and Phil Jimenez on it, and that was also fantastic. I mean, Jimenez is a really underrated artist. He hasn't done all that much high-profile stuff, but whenever he does work on, like, X-Men, it really stands out. And then the rest of Astonishing X-Men was not that impressive, so we'll zoom through it. Here we got issue 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46. I guess I'm missing issue 45. 48, am I missing 47 as well? 49, 50, 51, 52, 53, 54, 55, 56, 57, 58, 59, 60, 61, 62, 63, 64, 65, 66. Is that what that is? Yeah. 67 and 68. That's the last issue. And I've got a couple issues from the reboot. I did not put any effort into collecting these. I think they kind of sucked. I'm not a huge fan of Rosenberg's writing. We got Greg Land on the art. That was fine. X-Men Blue, I have a few issues of. At this point, man, I was tired of X-Men. Whew! Too much X-Men. We had a Jean Grey series. We had X-Men Red. We had X-Men Gold, but my dad's got all of that. Not that it was great. We had Generation X. And then Uncanny Avengers was a while before that. This series I liked. I did really like Uncanny Avengers. Good stuff. At this point, it felt like they were still making quality comic books. That was, I think, 2013. But then Axis, of course. Oh man, Axis sucked. That was a really, really not good series. So confusing, so lame, so boring. Big whatever. And then at the back of this box, oh, we have some all-new X-Factor. Issue 1, Issue 2, Issue 3, Issue 4, Issue 5, this is Peter David again. Issue 7, I guess I'm missing Issue 6, Issue 8, Issue 9, Issue 10, Issue 11, Issue 12, Issue 13, Issue 14, Issue 15, Issue 16, 17, 18, 19, and 20. That's the end of that series. Then I've got this random issue that I've always had. this random issue that I've always had. This issue of X-Men Unlimited that I guess doesn't go anywhere in particular. X-Men 2099 issue 1 signed by Ron Lim. Just got that signed at Heroes Con. I won this at Why So Serious Comics in Lafayette here in Georgia. An issue of X-Patrol from the Amalgam era. And a few issues of X-Men Adventures. I got these from my 7th grade teacher. When he learned that I liked comic books, he gave me all the comic books he collected as a kid, which was pretty exclusively X-Men stuff from the early 90s, which was an era. And then this is in French. But if you thought that my collection ended in 2019, you'd be sorely mistaken, because I was fully taken along by the Krakoan era. Are you kidding me? Jonathan Hickman on the X-Men for a hard reboot? Oh, heck yeah, I'm in. I love Jonathan Hickman. So I got House of X, Powers of X, all the issues. You know I gotta have them. They were amazing. Pepe Larraz was amazing for this. RB Silva was amazing for this. What a strong start to a brand new era of X-Men comics. Loved it. I was so excited that we finally had a strong hand on the wheel of this franchise that had been just kind of floundering for years. And there's X-Men issue 1. Got 2 copies of it because I loved both of the covers. I loved that variant cover. Loved that variant cover. These first 5 or 6 issues of X-Men were fantastic. It was kind of a different story every issue, just kind of a catch-all for what was going on in the X universe. But it was great. It was blowing me away. I finally felt like we had important X-Men issues. Empire was lame. But, you gotta deal with the crossovers when the crossovers happen. We also got New Mutants, Hickman and Brisson? I don't know who that is. Hickman and Reese, Rod Reese on the art. This was awesome as well. Brisson took over pretty quickly. Oh no, it was switching off between Hickman and Brisson. Yeah, that makes sense. We had 2 different storylines going on, and we'd switch between the 2 of them. You can guess which one was probably better, but, whatever. That one is signed To Me by Gary Duggan. And I liked Marauders as well. I really liked the idea. I liked the cast. It was seeming very interesting for a while. I don't think it held my attention as much as I expected it to, but it was a really cool idea and an absolutely essential part of the fresh vision for the X-Men that this era had. X-Force by Percy and Cassara was another really cool idea. I always felt like X-Force being the FBI of the X-Men was a really great angle for the team. And especially now that we had all this plant-related tech they could work with, and they had all this marketing stuff going on, all this business stuff to check up on. I thought this was a great idea, full of great potential plots they could have. I'll admit, Cassara's art didn't keep me all that hooked, or whoever ended up doing the art didn't keep me all that hooked. And then we got Excalibur. That one is also signed To Me by Teenie Howard. Super cool. This series, I think I bought issue 1 when it came out, but I wasn't buying the full thing. So every issue I have of this, I bought at a later time. I don't think I started collecting it as it came out until issue 20. And Fallen Angels, I wanted nothing to do with. I didn't really like the aesthetic. I didn't care much about the characters, so I don't have every issue of this. Most issues I have of this I picked up just recently for $1 because, they weren't that good. Wolverine, I was really excited about, especially that Finch variant. But I pretty quickly realized that it wasn't, I don't know, it wasn't my favorite Wolverine series. Cable was fine. It's almost hard to remember Cable being a series because it didn't feel like it had a huge impact on much of the Krakoan era. And man, X Factor, Wow. I did not like X Factor. No, sir. Sword was okay. It was okay. Didn't leave a huge impact on me, but it was fine. And pretty soon here we're going to get to, what is it, 10 of Swords? Oh no, we got Hellions first. Got a few issues of Hellions. I was really excited about this series, but I don't know why they decided to make Havoc so mentally unstable. Like, he's always been stressed, but come on. Giant size. Another giant size. These were all really good. Yeah, I love the giant size issues. That's a good one. And then this was supposed to get people excited about 10 of Swords. I thought 10 of Swords was pretty good. I liked it. I don't remember what issue that is. Did I write it down? Oh, yeah. Good for me. People complained about it. What is this? Part 4? Okay. But I thought for what was happening in the Krakoa era at the time, it was pretty good. And I liked a lot of the new characters. I thought it felt pretty fresh. A lot of the dialogue was good. I liked it. There were a few tie-ins where I was like, was that really necessary? But overall, I think it was fun. And I don't think it was too long either. It was, 22 parts, but that's fine. I really liked Storm's chemistry with the Death character. I thought that was super cool. That's a great cover. And then everything with Doug was great. Honestly, I liked 10 of Swords. I felt like the Age of Krakoa was still fully in swing. That's a sick cover. Love that Pepe Larraz, man. And then I think around this point, the X-Men main series started to be like, it was okay. And then I was mostly just getting excited about the variant covers more than the actual series. Marauders was also okay. I don't remember much of what happened at this point, and I think they rebooted the series maybe after that issue. X-Force was also, I think, starting to lose a little bit of steam. It still maintained, like, it was funny throughout all 50 issues. And Excalibur, I don't know. I don't think I was reading it regularly at this point. There were a couple good issues of Wolverine here. Like, I liked this one. But for the most part, I just didn't feel like it was actually Wolverine. I felt like it was kind of a simplified version of Wolverine. And I just don't remember much about the Cable series at all. Not that it was bad, just not super memorable. But X Factor is memorable for how much I didn't like it. Yeesh. I did not like a lot of the later Krakoan era, but pretty much everything Leah Williams did, no matter what part of the era it was in, I did not like it. And Hellions, I felt just kind of fizzled out. I don't know. Didn't love that one either. Here we are at my second box of the Krakoan era. We got some New Mutants with these crazy covers. I like the covers. The interior art, I think, was a little bit much for me. But, to each his own, right? Issue 15, I think, yeah, I kind of gave up on New Mutants around here because I felt like the story was so, let's all be best friends and super supportive. And it just, there was no, it just felt like it was for children. This issue is nuts. All these Hellfire Gala tie-ins are in one spot together. The first Hellfire Gala was pretty cool. I think by the third one, I was ready for it to be over. And you can see how many frickin' titles there are here, right? I liked X-Corps. I really like these Aja covers. Like, there's way too many titles of X-Men books at this point. They had so many tie-ins for the Hellfire Gala because there were just so many titles. I was spending so much money just on X-Men books. And it just, you weren't getting a ton of quality. It wasn't consistently quality. Especially the Onslaught Revelation. Like, what the frick was the point of that? Children of the Atom, I thought was just not good. Like, just, I felt like I wasted my money on it. That's for sure. Like, it was better than some of the stuff, but it was worse than most of the stuff. The Trial of Magneto was not terrible, but kind of a letdown. I didn't feel like it was all that important. But then we had the brand new volume of X-Men by Duggan and Larraz, and I was super excited about this. This was good. I really liked this series, and maybe it's just Pepe Larraz being amazing at art making me like it. But, I mean, this felt like a nice new breath for the series. I was confused about the Captain Krakoa stuff, but it ended up not mattering too much, I think. And then X-Force was getting a little bit better, I think, around this point. I was starting to enjoy it more. We had the crazy stuff going on with Colossus's brother and the writer who was, like, possessing Colossus or whatever. Marauders was, I didn't love it. A sick cover, though. And then it rebooted sometime around here, I think. Yeah, I think that's the last issue. Oh, no, there was an annual. And New Mutants. I got some of these issues at $1 bins. They were... I mean, around here, it started looking a little bit better. So now is when I started collecting it every month. And it was okay. It still wasn't super impressive to me. But it was, not terrible. That issue, I did not like. Not that I have any problem with anything that happened in it. I was like, this is just not good, Sword was I was starting to lose interest in it. Excalibur came to an end, I think. Hellions was coming to an end, with good reason. Because I did not really like Hellions much. Felt like it had a lot of potential and just didn't really live up to it. Wolverine was okay. Again, not my favorite series. Not terrible. Just kind of middle of the road. Like, this is still happening. That's fine. And then we had Inferno, which was Hickman's... Like, Hickman had not really been present for a minute after X of Swords or 10 of Swords. And Inferno was like, hey, just so you know, you're still on my train. And that was like a breath of fresh air again. And then 10 Lives and 10 Deaths of Wolverine was a really cool idea, which had some high points and had some low points. But then, pretty much as soon as Hickman was gone, and I heard that he wanted to move on with his plan and everybody else working on the books was like, no, let's just not. It took a pretty sharp turn downwards. And we had Kieran Gillen, who is a great writer, did a bunch of really great X-Men stuff before this, doing Immortal X-Men. And that was good. That was probably the high water mark of the rest of the Krakoan era. But it got kind of drowned out by all the other incredibly boring series. Like this one, wow. I really did not like Marauders. I bought all of it because I was feeling like a completionist at this point. I was like, I'm going to see this era through. Legion of X was like, it's Spurrier, and I like Spurrier. But I don't know. It had good moments, but most of the time I felt like it was unnecessary. There were just too many things going on. Knights of X, I did not really care that much about. Too much going on. Way too many things happening without actual things happening, Then we had a Captain Britain series that I don't think I bothered collecting. We had a Dark Web event that I didn't bother collecting. Secret X-Men looked like it was going to be cool, and then it just didn't go anywhere. And Wolverine is over here just still being Wolverine, you know. Still doing the Wolverine-y stuff. X-Force, same thing. Kind of feeling totally detached from the rest of the Krakoan era. I felt like X-Force maintained the Krakoan era feeling that it started with pretty much throughout the whole series, but when everybody else's work started kind of going off in different directions, it made it all feel disconnected. Pepe Larraz coming through with the best art in the entire era. X-Men Red was a good idea, absolutely necessary after they terraformed Mars to have a series about X-Men on Mars. But all of the X-Men Red stuff, I just couldn't get into. Like, it all just felt like complicated politics, and I had no idea what the stakes were the whole time. And then we had Judgment Day, or not Judgment Day, AXE, which was pretty clearly just a crossover designed to promote the new Eternals movie. And this was pretty lame. It was definitely not, it wasn't Fear itself, wasn't AVX, wasn't Siege or House of M or Secret Wars. It was just kind of, here's our summer event. That's a sick cover, though. X-Men Red. Yep, just kind of, I don't know. I don't know what the heck happened in X-Men Red. Is that Gillen? It's Ewing. That's why. Ewing was being all complicated. And my little brain couldn't handle it, I've only got so much brain power. X-Men was doing weird things. That was a cool issue, though. X-Men Annual. Yeah, those issues were fine. Those issues of regular X-Men were fine. I don't know what that is. More Judgment Day stuff. Yeah, this issue was fun. I remember a couple of these issues being kind of fun. Oops, put that in the wrong spot. This guy, I remember it being kind of a big reveal who he was, but now I don't remember. And I was kind of interested at the time, but now I don't really remember. Oh man, I've got that itchy nose again. Maybe I'm allergic to comic books. Oh well, guess I'll be allergic to comic books. Ugh, Marauders. Ew, so boring. Why? I just felt like these characters were not at all acting like the characters that they were. Ugh. Cassandra Nova is not a good guy. Daken, not a good guy. I'm sorry. I know that a lot of the X-Men is based on, like, reform and getting bad guys to become good guys or whatever, and things aren't supposed to be binary and black and white, blah, 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 blah. The son of Wolverine is freaking evil. Like, he kills people because he enjoys it, And when they put him... This series... Oh, man. Oh, I didn't like that series. When they put him on the Marauders, I was like, who is this freaking... The extent of his personality was that he was bisexual and cuddly. And that's just not at all who that character is. Sucked. I mean... Even during Sins of Sinister, which was mostly an Al Ewing / Kieran Gillen event, I felt like this era had gone totally off the rails and it needed to just stop, which sucked because I was so excited about the Krakoan era. And then by this point I was like, come on guys, wrap it up. You're freaking spinning your wheels. You don't have anything else to say. You think that you have to do all these things that you don't have to do. Just stop. Just start over. It was rough. It was really rough. And then Beast turned into a bad guy. And, like, I get conceptually how he was supposed to be slowly turning into a bad guy, but I did not feel it in the books. Now, what is this? Before the Fall? Yeah, we get into the Before the Fall stuff. And then we have a Hellfire Gala as we get into Fall of X. And I was like, hooray, they're ending it. But then the end of the Krakoan era was so many books. A ridiculous amount of books. We had Contest of Chaos that nobody freaking cares about. We had just, Astonishing X-Men. Boy, what a terrible series. And they put Jesus Saiz on the cover art so they would fool you into thinking it was high quality. Oh, that was a bad series. Children of the Vault. I don't know. I mean, it wasn't terrible, but it really wasn't good. I remember being like, man, do I really have to keep collecting this? Immortal X-Men had these fantastic Mark Brooks covers throughout. Is this Kieran Gillen? Yeah, it's Gillen. So, like, I don't know, the writing was solid, but just kind of bland. Alpha Flight was a really boring series that we did not need. Ugh. Dark X-Men was an interesting idea, but a boring series that we did not need. Uncanny Avengers, another cool idea. Did we need it? No, not really. I didn't think it was all that good. X-Men Red kept going. By this point, I had entirely tuned out. Could not possibly tell you what happened in these issues. Invincible Iron Man got involved because we had the whole thing with Emma Frost that I just could not bring myself to care about. Yikes. Jean Grey. I remember thinking it was okay. Didn't hate it, but also didn't love it. Realm of X. Bad. Did not like it. No, sir. Not good. X-Force, still doing its crazy thing with Colossus. Not terrible, not great, just kind of putting along. Woo, Miss Marvel, the New Mutant. Boy, I did not like that series. No siree. I was like, why are you just tacking her on? Hey, that's signed by Ben Percy. Got that done at Motor City. I just didn't feel like the Miss Marvel stuff was necessary. It was just people throwing things in at the last minute. Yikes. And this is it, my last box of X-Men comics. We got Uncanny Spider-Man, which I didn't hate. It's Spurrier. I usually like Spurrier. This issue was crazy. That's one of the first issues I reviewed on my channel. I thought this series was fine. The Sabretooth War was definitely very graphic, but I feel like, the Jeff Loeb, Simone Bianchi Sabretooth saga with Wolverine was just as graphic, if not more graphic, and they made it seem like a much bigger deal. Because we all knew that the age of Krakoa was coming to an end and we were about to get a giant reboot. So it really did not matter what happened to characters, X-Force, I was checking out, like, okay, it's almost over. Hooray. More Invincible Iron Man. Oh, I have 2 copies of that? That's not the kind of issue I need 2 copies of. Boring. Yikes. Dead X-Men seemed like a good idea, but did not manage to keep my attention very long. Cable. Didn't care about that. Not really. Just don't really care about the character. X-Men Red turned into Resurrection of Magneto, which, I don't know, seemed like a good idea, but didn't feel like it was being executed all that well. I just didn't care. Miss Marvel, Mutant Menace. More Miss Marvel that we don't need, and suddenly Miss Marvel is in the spotlight of everything X-Men. Don't know why. X-Men Forever is the continuation of Immortal X-Men. Great covers. Don't really care about the series itself. Then we had Fall of the House of X, Rise of the Powers of X. Hip hip hooray, it's over. Let's get back to something good. We had Laraz. We had Laraz on some of the covers. Woohoo! Laraz is amazing. I wish Laraz had been there the whole time. But he had to go and do a terrible series with Mark Miller. X-Men was wrapping up. We got Miss Marvel front and center. We got Kitty Pryde being totally out of character all the time in a totally unconvincing way. There it is, issue 700, the final issue. Thank goodness it's over. And we have some extras from the same period. We have a few issues of Storm, Giant Size X-Men, first issue of Deadpool, first issue of Wolverine Deep Cut, another issue of Wolverine Deep Cut, Wolverine Madripoor Nights, Life of Wolverine, that was just an extra, Weapon X-Men, that was really bad, Original X-Men, that was whatever. I read a lot of the Demon Days stuff. I didn't collect much of the Demon Days. Another new issue of Deadpool, Gambit miniseries, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Hellions double issue, that's a variant. The Excellent, I forgot about the Excellent. That series was okay. Wolverine Patch was surprisingly not that great. Here's some more Demon Days. Nice, that's an extra, that's an extra, that's an extra, that's an extra. This was nothing I care about. These were okay, that was not that good. And then here we have new stuff. We got Wolverine Revenge. I don't know, kind of disappointed me, honestly. I made a video about it. I don't think I even got the full series. And then we have From the Ashes X-Men. I like Stegman. Not a huge fan of Jed McKay. I got the first couple issues and then gave up. Uncanny X-Men by Gail Simone, I think, impressed me more than Adjectiveless X-Men. So I've been collecting that. I have every issue of the new Uncanny X-Men series. And I'm way behind. I feel like I've only read like maybe 6 issues of this, and it's clearly far beyond 6 issues. So maybe it's gotten better, maybe it's gotten worse, I don't know. I haven't read the newest issues of these in a long time. But I'm still collecting them, because, you know, X-Men is so important to me. I want to believe that there's at least one good X-Men series out there right now. I also was surprisingly interested in Exceptional X-Men, so I've been collecting that series as well. Again, I've only probably read the first, I think that's the last issue I read, issue 7. So I don't know what's going on. I hope it's good, because I keep buying it. Wolverine, I love Kokolo, but I didn't love that issue. NYX, there's no chance I'm going to enjoy that series. Phoenix, I'm just not interested. I'm sorry, I'm not interested. I've got X-Men Burnout. I can't do it anymore. I got this sick cover, but it wasn't enough to make me like the series. I got this sick cover, but I really did not need it. First issue of Psylocke and Giant Size X-Men. I made a video about this recently. So, we're all caught up to modern day. That's all of X-Men. Clearly, the older it is, the more I like it, except for that one period around issue 500, some of the stuff in the mid-400s. The Krakoa era started great, then it got terrible. Moving on from here, we still have Y and Z, which is not many comics, but I also have a bunch of extras. You know, some things that I didn't show you that are technically earlier in the alphabet. So there'll be one more video of my entire comic collection, but X-Men is definitely my favorite bit of it. So, thanks for watching. I'm Kurt Williams, and I'm exhausted, and you're somebody else. Bye!